Elon Musk looks like he's back as wartime CEO. He's buying Tesla stock with this $1 billion buy. He's posting about Tesla left, right, and center. He's burning the midnight oil with Optimus Engineering and Production, Colossus 2, Tesla AI 5 chip design, Autopilot, and the vehicle production teams as well. I think if like Elon is on board, he's focused, nothing can stop Tesla. We're going to talk about that and more. We're co-streaming this on Brian White's channel, Futuraza. Nick Gibbs is going to join us a little bit later, but he'll be here shortly as well. And we're going to wait for the Fed should actually make their announcement shortly, right? So welcome, Brian.
I'm excited to be here. My gosh. I know I say this every week, but huge news. It's my thumbnail. Don't get mad. It's just, it's easier than making a new one every week. And there is always huge news. I feel like if there was a quiet week, it'd be a little weird.
It'd be weird, but it's we're going to talk about today is news that just dropped on Monday and Tuesday. Today's Wednesday. And so people go, oh, we've already heard about it. Actually, yeah, but it just dropped on Monday. So we're going to explore this a little bit further, deeper dive into this. So it starts off with Elon tweeting this, right? Tesla up $69 to $420 as foretold in the prophecy. He's actually tweeting about the stock, of course, now that his compensation plan, the preliminary proxy came out. He is going to start pumping this. He's saying it's going to go to 420. He bought $1 billion worth. He's tweeting about the stock. He's buying the stock. Daddy's home. Tesla's back. And then Elon replied to him, right? He said, Daddy's very much home. I'm burning the midnight oil with Optimus Engineering on Friday night. Red eye overnight to Austin, arriving 5 in the morning. I wake up to have lunch with my kids, and I spent Saturday afternoon deep technical reviews for the Tesla AI 5 chip design. That tells you his priorities, right? Obviously, it's Optimus. It's AI 5. He's going to go to Colossus 2 on Monday, which is in Memphis, whole data center floor. And then he's going to go back 12 hours, back-to-back meetings across all Tesla departments, focuses on Autopilot, Optimus, and vehicle production delivery. So it's, it's like, yes, his proxy was dropped. Yes, that changes how he behaves, maybe, but this is the best thing we can hear, that him telling us this, right?
Well, I might be crazy here, but I made the as the prophecy foretold joke before he did. So maybe he saw mine. Mine was about the Gigafactory in Berlin increasing shifts. So, Elon, you got to like my post, man. You don't just steal my jokes. Come on. Because it was probably 5 hours before he did that post that he, all right, fair enough. It's your platform, I guess. This is... exciting stuff. We've got everything going on. The Model YL is proving that you can make another form factor at an affordable price and that people will buy it. People want something a little bit different. It's not because it's better or worse. It's because some people want a little more space. Maybe you want more leg room in the second row. Maybe you need a third row that didn't exist in the Chinese market. The third row model had only been sold in the US and maybe Canada. I'm not sure if it made it to Canada. This is just more proof that they know what they're doing and that they can execute on it. And if we do see that more affordable model, which I believe we still will, we were told it would be in the first half. He didn't say, maybe he meant of the decade. We've still got a few months left on that, but it will be interesting to see how that comes together. There's a lot to cover, man.
Yeah. So, we're talking about Elon and his priorities. Have you ever seen like Elon this dialed in?
Yes. I've seen him more dialed in. The delivery, the production was when he was the most dialed in.
That was a, do or die moment. The company was going to go down bankrupt. He needed to save the company. Anytime that kind of thing happens, he jumps in and he saves the company. If there's a major issue with some sort of production plan, he dives in. This sounds like he's planning for the future. He's making sure things will happen. And if you take a look at his priorities, I think Hans Nelson said it really well. Optimus is AI, AI 5 chip design is AI, Colossus is AI, Autopilot is AI, vehicle production delivery, maybe not AI, but it's also part of Robotaxi, so it is AI. These are things he's focused on. It's fantastic. So this is the theme. AI is a race, and he's on it, right? You know what I mean? Like the previous times he's dialed in, it was really more about because he needs to save the company. Now it's like, I'm going to beat everybody else.
Well, I will tell you, the last time I saw him this dialed in was just before the last shareholder vote on compensation. I hope that he's not just active because there's an upcoming vote on CEO compensation. I'd like him to actually.
What happened then? What did he do then?
Oh, he switched back to talking about science and technology all the time and stopped talking about all the other social things. He literally went back to the factory and started cleaning house. He started doing the CEO things. So I hope this is a sign of what's to come and not just performative for the compensation vote. But the reality is, on the compensation vote, Hans C. Nelson had tweeted, look, if he's going to take it to $8.5 trillion, and I said, hey, we don't even have to go that high. His first milestone cannot kick in until we all double our money.
$2 trillion.
That's pretty big. And it's not double from today because it's gone up since then, but it's double from what it was when it was announced. We've already gotten some pretty good gains. So what we need to look at, and it's not just doubling the market cap. He has to hit one of those big milestones, the operational ones, all of which none of them are just over the horizon. Now, I would argue that selling a total of 10 million vehicles is a slam dunk, or 20 million vehicles is a slam dunk, but it's not going to happen right away. It's going to take years to get there. And all the other ones, while some of us may look at them and say, those are slam dunks, if you really believe they're slam dunks, you'd be investing more, probably.
You would be.
So,
yeah, it's interesting because like he was saying, right? So is he doing this because his stock option, his performance package is now revealed? His restricted shares is at 335, 334, and now he's going to go try to pump the stock to get to $2 trillion market cap. Is that what he's doing? Or what they did, what happened last week when he was interviewed by the All In podcast? And he said, he tried to solve the issues with the United States by going to the government. And he said, he was asked, what did you learn about that time that you spent with the government? He said, they're basically unfixable. And so if AI and robots don't save us, we're doomed. And so I think he said this before, right? So one way to save the deficit, either if you stop the spending of the US, just keep spending, then you're paying interest rates and you're going to go basically bankrupt as a country. Or you raise the revenue and you have AI and autonomy and AI and robots save the day. That's the only solution to this at this point. That's great for Tesla investors. So now he's back making sure that AI in the cars, Optimus, and the chips and the data centers are all humming. Oh my God, what he can accomplish is fantastic. There's a great article about what he did for Colossus 2 that is just brilliant of how he's, he found ways to make that thing get up faster and do things that no one else can do. If he can do that with Optimus,
The impossible. There was a video I saw on X of Elon looking out from the catch tower down at, the starships down there and looking at that. I can't wrap my head around looking at that and going, oh man, my team did this. This was an idea we had and now it's here. And I'd like to point out that all of it is impossible. You want to have a booster, a second stage belly flop, kick out and land on its feet. No, we're actually going to catch it. We decided not to catch it to land on its feet. We're going to do it the even harder way, or maybe it's even easier. It's just never been done. Oh, you're going to chopstick catch a 35, 40-story building. Yeah, of course. I mean, why wouldn't we? Because that's crazy. It's never been done. And if you look at how much SpaceX has launched, Starlink alone has had more launches than anyone else in the world during that time, not to mention the rest of what SpaceX does. Can you imagine how many more rockets they would have had to build were it not for reusability? We know the answer. It's 500. 500 additional boosters would have had to have been built. That's too many. The ocean would be mostly rocket boosters at this point. Okay, maybe not, but you get the
Yeah.
idea. It's a
Yeah.
lot of material,
He can
expensive
accomplish the
material.
incredible things. What I liked about that statement he made on Monday, though, is that there's almost all about Optimus. It's all about the Optimus. He spent the midnight oil with Optimus engineering and production. Colossus 2 is going to support Optimus intelligence. Tesla AI 5 chip design is going to be an Optimus and the cars, of course. And then he's promising that AI 5 is going to be this incredible leap forward. Autopilot team, of course, that has to succeed. But it sounds like to me like it's I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but tell me if I'm wrong. It feels like that Robotaxi and Autopilot are almost on autopilot. Asha's got it. It's now expansion. You've got the version 14, which is that big leap. That's about to launch to all of us. That it didn't sound like a problem. It was like, I'm going to meet with the Tesla Autopilot team and, of course, the vehicle production teams. 12 hours, back-to-back teams. I mean, he's there making sure. But my point is that it's all about Optimus, and it's about planning for the production of things in the future. It's not. I didn't get from that there was a fire that he needed to solve, and that was how he positioned himself many months ago for last year. Basically, I'm able to go to do the government thing because my job at Tesla and other companies is I come in when there's a fire, I solve those fires. He is here talking about production plans. He's talking about future things that we need to get everything dialed in to make sure that we truly succeed fast and how to get faster. Yeah.
I had people ask me in the compensation plan, no mention of Tesla's energy storage, no of the power walls and the mega packs and the mega blocks. Why? And I said, I think it's because those are on autopilot. Those are going to grow with or without a big push. They are running themselves. The people I've talked to who work at Lathrop say, we've never seen the guy. He doesn't come out here because things run great, because we have a magnificent leadership team that is already pushing as hard as one can push. They've automated a lot of, it's robot run. And when you watch those mega packs roll out, they're making $5 million a day in profit. They would make less money if that was a counterfeiting operation. It is that profitable. So it's pretty interesting to see. And a lot of the divisions within Tesla are getting there. I mean, not all of them, certainly. I think service is one example where you'll always have to push. It'll never run itself. Certainly on the guidance towards development of new vehicles, that's always going to need a visionary touch. But there are a lot of factors that can run themselves. And once FSD is solved, and James Dalma was saying this about robotics, with robots, once they're solved, they're solved. That's it. You can make them better. You can make them cheaper. But I mean, there's that one hurdle. And once you clear it, you're in. And that's the same thing with unsupervised FSD. How soon we get to unsupervised FSD? Unknown. But I would argue unknowable, but it will happen. It's just a matter of when.
Yeah. Do you think that Master Plan 4 has already been drafted and we saw it? It was kind of this guidelines and so forth. He did say he was going to give details. It could have appeared in the proxy, but I think that we're not done. I'm sort of in that camp where Master Plan 4 is going to be something he's still working on, that is going to describe to us what his plan is for energy generation, for how to get to the goals of a sustainable abundance, and actually a little bit more details. Or do you think, what we saw is what it is? This is it. We're done.
I saw Master Plan 4, and from it, I really only had 2 short questions. What and how? So I guess those are big questions, but in terms of spelling, they're pretty short. There is a lot unknown, and we do need to see the details because right now it's more of a vision board than a plan. We need to know what's actually going on, what the idea is. There are a lot of ways you could take this, and you and I have discussed a number of them. You have said, and I love it, Tesla should start just building solar farms. Why not? We've got the money. We know what the return on investment is. It's easy money. You're going to get much more money out of that than you would just parking it in T-bills. And it's better for the world. The world needs power right now. Make it happen. Get it done.
Yeah.
And there are places where it makes more sense than others, places where energy rates are quite high, places where tariffs are quite low. That's where you start, and you just keep moving forward until you get where you need to go. And then you decide, are we going to make our own solar panel fab and just run that bad boy 24/7 and just crank out as much juice generation capacity as possible? The answer, of course, to that is, I don't know. It's a great idea, though.
Yeah, I suspect that he might announce more of this information at the annual shareholder meeting, November 6th. So where we are, September 17th. It's basically a month and a half away from now. So what a perfect place, I think, to come out. I don't think it's a great place to do product reveal, but it's a great place to talk about, the shareholder meeting, right? So you come in, you vote, they reveal the answers to the votes, and then he comes out and he says, the future's bright. Here's what we plan to do. Here's what we're going to accomplish. And it's going to be about, Robotaxi to Optimus and then the master plan 4. That could be a perfect time for him to come out and say, we're going to get into energy generation. We're going to build this many batteries. And, this is our plan of how we're going to, and hopefully it's more about Tesla. That master plan 3 was all about saving Earth, which is great. I'm not saying that's a good thing. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. But if it's
I know people who live there
on Earth. But you know what I'm saying? Like, it would be great that this is about Tesla's plans and how are you going to accomplish this. That's what we wanted to hear. Something more like Master Plan 1 and 2. I think that's what all of us shareholders are dying for. But yeah, so what do you think about that? That could be the time that you would talk about Master Plan 4. Or maybe I'm wrong and he's already done Master Plan 4 and we're on moving forward now. That's done. This was it. We presented it to you.
It could go either way. We've seen him at shareholder meetings. The only Tesla thing I've ever been to was shareholder 23. And at shareholder 23, he took questions for days. Yeah. It was amazing. We got Justin, the bearded Tesla guy, was up there with his questions. Dr. Know-It-All was up there with his. A lot of amazing folks were up there asking all kinds of questions. I wouldn't be surprised to see him address it, even if he doesn't plan to. But he has to be very careful with what he says at events like that, because any of the answers I would like would probably be forward-looking statements. And those are the kind of thing that would be subject to review before you publish, because, it's...
Yeah, he's done this a million times. He knows what he's done.
Yeah. Am I supposed to argue with that? No, he knows what he's doing. And but again, there's just a whole bunch of ways to go. My concern, of course, isn't the goal of sustainable abundance. It's the pain of the transition to get there. And that's the part that I'm hoping to see a plan laid out for, because I can picture a scenario in which all the people who have money today are the people wind up being the people who have all the bots tomorrow. And that doesn't sound utopian to me. That sounds quite the opposite. So we'll have to find out how to get there. So, and by the way, I would mention that at shareholder 25, Herbert and I will both be in town. Got to try and find us. We're going to be the Where's Waldo's. I'm planning to dress accordingly. Herbert swears he's going to dress that way too, and that I won't just look like an idiot. So, yeah.
I don't know what you meant by that, but okay. I always dress appropriately for these events.
I show up and you're like, that was never a thing, Brian. Never.
So at the top of the show, I kind of listed out what he said, Elon said, about he's focusing on, right? Optimus, Colossus, AI5, autopilot, vehicle production. Is there, do you think, would you have rather have heard something different that he's focused on right now?
Than robots and autonomy? I mean, no. Do I want him to go down to the assembly line? No, I think they've got
No, but Brian, don't you know that the biggest problem Tesla's facing is the falling Tesla vehicle demand in Germany? He should solve that problem.
He should go to Germany and work on the line. No, they know what they're doing. That's the beauty is he did have to work on the line in 2018 because
Yeah.
there were unsolved issues, all created by themselves. They tried to over automate. It didn't work. It wasn't time. They tried to get out ahead of the technology and just kind of make it work, and it didn't.
Mhm.
So they had to go down and rethink what they were doing. When they realized demand was outpacing capacity, they scraped together enough spare robots to put up a third line. That's ridiculous. That's crazy. They got it up and running in a matter of weeks. And so that was pretty exciting. When they launched Shanghai, 90% of the parts were not made locally. And within 6 months, they were. He didn't go out there for that. He trusted Tom Ju and the rest of the team there to better understand what they're doing. There are a lot of things at Tesla that Elon, shouldn't be focused on. Production in Shanghai is one example. I don't think he needs to go there. I think they know what they're doing. I think they do it really, really well. So what can he do with the FSD team? I don't know. I don't know what
let
any
me
of
bring
those
that
people
up. It was interesting that in the list that we read through, he said that he's talking to the Autopilot AI team. He didn't bring up the word Robotaxi rollout, you know? So that, to me, again, perfect. I love it that his focus is on, because if Robotaxi rollout was a problem, a red flag, something, fires burning, things are not moving as fast as he wanted, there are some real issues that we're facing, he would be focused on that right now. But the Autopilot AI team, that means that he's focused on the next gen, FSD version 14, version 15, make sure that this is solved. This Robotaxi thing is solved, right? And that's a small little thing. Maybe I'm wrong, but that, it was nice to see that. Some people are going, why isn't he focused on Robotaxi? Why isn't that word there?
Well, that is actually a really good catch. Now, I would say that FSD is autonomy, is Robotaxi, but there is absolutely a distinction. I've seen these reports there. What is it? The Robotaxi tracker or something like that on X said, look at this. Robotaxi covers 1,000 square miles. Waymo only covers 600. And there's some debate about the merits of that calculus because while it's true that Robotaxi does cover more area, Waymo has 10 times, 20 times the vehicles, is racking up miles faster, doesn't have an operator in the vehicle, a safety hitchhiker in the vehicle. They're approaching the same problem in slightly different ways. And Tesla is chronologically 15 years behind because they have only entered this market in a testing phase recently, like within the last couple months. You were there day one, minute one. But there was, so definitely cut Tesla some slack on how many vehicles they're running, but also cut Waymo some slack because they are actually running a ton of vehicles.
Yeah.
And I will not, someone tried to argue with me today. Yeah, but Waymo won't be, their approach is too expensive. I'm like, don't argue with me. I agree with you, but let's keep it real about where they're actually at. I'm just glad Waymo exists to blaze the trail so that Tesla isn't the one having to establish new regulations, establish new programs and guidelines. It's a lot of the big questions people ask. Well, how will you ensure this? I'm like, I don't know. Same way Waymo does, that way. So it's, there's some advantage to being the second mover.
Mm-hmm. I think we spend way too much time worried about Waymo or comparing it to Waymo. Look where Waymo is. It's not a competition between the two. Yeah. It's Tesla's progress and they're doing well and they're fine. There's one comment that Elon made last week, right? Where Ashok Goswami pointed out that the Tesla app, the Robotaxi app, has skyrocketed to the top in the iPhone, Apple App Store. And then Elon commented to him jokingly saying, I guess we need to roll out more markets. So that was just last week. So as far as I'm concerned, that just shows you that there's confidence that this thing is rolling out, right? We got the Nevada permit that came out, or Sawyer confirmed that it's permitted, that Tesla's got it now, and the entire state of Nevada, by the way. So, this is rolling out, whether it's ride hail or the Austin kind of version with a safety rider, doesn't matter. None of that matters, because we know that once 14 comes and it's really at that point it's safer than a human, then you just remain, these are stepping stones to get to the big, which is it available in every, can you actually do robotaxi in every state, in every city? Yeah, the answer is yes. We know it. It's just a matter of time for us to roll it out there. So robotaxi rollout seems to be slower than most people think, but it's not, there so far, signal versus noise, we've not heard anything that means that it's going to be like A, dead, not going to work, or B, major issues being found. If he's saying, yeah, maybe we should roll out to more markets now, that's still where we're at. Going to see this more markets rolled out.
Yes. The neat thing is Tesla's already starting to tackle the airport problem. Yeah. You can't just go
so pick up. Just FYI.
Well, yes.
After me telling you that's not fair to them, but yes.
Well,
it's a bit of news.
Yeah. Waymo, having been at this for 10, 20 years now, I'm less impressed. The fact that Tesla, and I did see people saying, well, you can just go drop people off. No, you need to have the permits and all that. Get that in place. Let's not color outside the lines any more than we must. So the fact that they could do that, it'll be exciting, because there will be times when a VIP has a tour of Giga Austin and Giga Texas, and Tesla says, when you get there, just order a cab and it'll bring you. And I'll be like, ooh, that's interesting. And there will be a time in the not too distant future where anyone arriving in Vegas will be able to hop into a taxi. We know they've been testing them in the boring tunnel now. And I've seen people, well, the tunnel, it can't recognize the walls. What are you talking about? They already deliver themselves from the end of line to the delivery center in Austin through a tunnel. I think they can handle a tunnel, but there are logistics to manage, and they're managing them. So in terms of pace, I have nothing to complain about.
Yeah. And then I think another signal is whether or not Tesla is hiring people for robotaxi. And the latest we saw was a huge long list of autopilot engineers that are autopilot data collection engineers that's going to be hired in, 12, 15 states and cities across the United States. So they're still hiring like crazy. And then there's that new role. You saw that one for robotaxi engineer that's going to map out every single airport around the world. This person's job is to map out the airports around the world.
Wow.
So, Elon would not, we know how he's so very, very focused on who's hired and who's not. You're not going to go and build out this team if there was delays or concerns that this thing's not going to succeed. So I know. Do you give that? I do, in terms of like employees hired as a signal, one of the small signals you can be looking at to see whether or not a program is being built.
Absolutely.
Just one little thing.
Absolutely. And we've seen the road drivers hired in specific states, and then we see the permits. So they're moving quickly on this. What we don't know from Waymo or Tesla is how many wizards behind the curtain are required to make the vehicles work. Got a mosquito in my office and it's driving me crazy. Because that's the real question. I've seen people say, well, Waymo will never work because there's a 3-to-1 ratio of engineers to vehicles. And I don't know that. I definitely don't know that that's true, but I also don't believe that's true, especially when we see some of the traffic jams they produce, that they manufacture in a random intersection with 8 Waymos honking at each other. So yeah, I don't know. And we did see, there's a lot of questions remaining.
One of the teams he's meeting with is the vehicle production teams. What did you take out of that? What do you think? Just guessing. It's in Giga Texas, right?
Right. Yeah. So I assume that he wants to walk the line. He wants to see where the unboxed line is at. We know that at least as of July, it was partly or mostly assembled. It was mostly in place because there was a tour that was given to someone who was allowed to see it and was willing to share that information with us. I assume because we've seen the castings, we rarely see the castings show up in the yard more than a few months before production. It is my belief they're ready to go. It is my belief that we will see cybercabs being produced at volume, low volume, but volume, as soon as we remove the safety hitchhiker. Because at that point, you can put two people in the car and there's no wheel and it's a nice big screen, and let's have a very different experience. And you can still have whoever back at HQ supervising or on standby would be more ideal. And the beauty is if you're at a ratio of, let's say, 5-1, if you can change that to 6-1, you can increase your fleet by 20% right then and there. So yeah, I think it'll be.
When's the first cybercab going to be actually, you said when they take, you call it a safety hitchhiker. Once you get the safety rider out in Austin, that's when you think that they might actually put in a cybercab into the Austin roads and you can hail one, right? Is that what you're thinking?
Yes, that is what I'm thinking.
Right now, most people I've been interviewing, they will say December, and I think January. That's when they'll remove the safety rider. How about you?
Well, I think it's a hitchhiker because the only thing they use is their thumb. No, the important part is I don't know when it will happen. To me, it's over the horizon and I can't see over the horizon. I'm just making my best guesses based on where the smoke is located. December, January both look good, but we just haven't seen anything behind the scenes that would give us a clear indication.
The thinking is FSD 14 is a generation up high, better than what we're all driving. That is apparently, I spoke to Omar of Homar's catalog. He's got good intel that it's already being, there's Tesla employees that are testing it already now.
I have seen that rumor.
It's real.
It is a plausible rumor. I would not be surprised at all. So I would say, most likely true.
If FSD version 14 is already in employees' hands, and anything can happen, it could take months and months and months, whatever. But if it does, then maybe a couple months from now, it gets rolled out. Tesla robotaxis in Austin would be using it. Right now, they're not, but let's say they start using it. You want to give it a couple months to make sure that everything's in place. That's why I still say January before they, they'll introduce this, they'll remove the safety rider.
Yeah, we have to
because you're introducing a brand new version of autopilot FSD, so you need to keep the safety rider for a couple more months at the minimum. And we're here now, September, October, November, so very likely, I think, January.
So the thing with this type of coding with end-to-end neural nets is that we can't see inside the box. We don't know what's in there, so you have to test it not by saying we made these 8 changes, go out and set up a scenario that challenges those 8 scenarios. Instead, you have to just run it and wait for the edge cases to emerge. So the more, it could be that every version takes a little longer to test. But fortunately, there's miles rack up so quickly that when you put it out to a small test fleet, even just employees, those miles will rack up very quickly. So let's see, then we would have to figure out, how long that would be. I'm confident on version 14. What we'll see is a little bit better road handling. It's already very, very good. I don't know how you would notice if it was twice as good or 3 times as good. You've said you've had no disengagements. So it could be, I don't know how you get better than no disengagements. So I think that'll be the least noticeable part of it. The starts and stops are already silky smooth. But what I expect to see is better beginning and end of a ride experience where you can say, when you get to the store, you can say park or drop me at the door or whatever it may be. As it is, when you put in, if I put in Portland Airport into my navigation, it says economy lot, arrivals, perfect. That's what I want, but for every drive, because especially for Robotaxi, that's what you need, is to know where the pickup and drop off actually is. And for the love of all that's holy, will you please let me specify where my driveway is?
I know. I'm waiting for it to know my driveway. I go up and down it so often, yet it doesn't know that I want it to go into my driveway, into my garage, right? But I think version 14, he's promising that it's going to be sentient, and you're going to start seeing what sentient means, and we expect that it's going to be, there's a version of 14 that will drop, But then over the months, he said that at the AI, at the interview, All In podcast, that it will be over the months, and so there'll be multiple point one releases, right? Updates to it as it goes, and then by the end of the year, maybe it'll become sentient. And what I interpret sentient means is that it's going to be much more defensive driver. It's going to be much more able to understand the toll booth example, right? Where the car knows it's a toll booth, knows that there's a transaction happening, and will wait until you say goodbye, and then it knows that it's ready to go, and then it'll leave. It'll know how to do drive-throughs. You go to Starbucks drive-through, it'll know how to behave in the drive-through, get closer to the window. Once you give the food has arrived, maybe it can hear, maybe it needs to be hearing, not just looking, right? But at some point it needs to hear what's being said and then understand that it's ready to go. Those are the things I'm expecting, like things like that. Just, almost like the edge cases, like the final 0.9s of making this work. Obviously recognizing construction zones much better, intent, human intent, right? So if there's a guard saying stop, and then you can move, you should be able to do all those things. We'll see, but that is what I think sentient means. What do you think sentient means?
I think it's a buzzword. It's not going to be self-aware. I think he just means very intelligent. My one issue I have is that I bought a car that had hardware 4, and then I get people correcting me saying, nope, it's AI 4. Nah, when I bought it, it was hardware 4. That's what I bought. And AI suggests its ability to learn, and it doesn't learn. It doesn't learn anything. It has to wait for the mothership to give it new commands. I would like to see that in a future version, is for it to learn my drive, your drive.
It's got memory. I think that's what's new that's coming to memory, right?
Yes.
So if once you've driven your driveway several times, it'll have that memory for you.
Sure.
And then it'll be able to do that. Yeah.
And then at some point you could get rid of, or at least moderate between standard, aggressive, and chill, because I guess chill, standard, and hooray, because it's exciting, is what you need to do is, if it knows that I keep saying get over, it'll learn that. Just like a Google Nest thermometer, thermostat, doesn't want you to tell it what temperature it is. Just leave it to me. I'll figure it out. That's an actual application of AI. I don't know how well it works, but that's the principle. And my car has hardware. It doesn't have AI.
Brian, let's play a little game, okay? You are now the new CEO of Tesla. I'm going to give you a CEO performance package. You can get, if you can make the company $2 trillion, you're going to get $1 billion, dude. $1 trillion, okay? $1 billion, So what's
Whatever.
$1 billion here?
An unimaginable amount of money.
You're the guy. You walk into Tesla today because of the knowledge you have with Tesla. What is the biggest fire that you need to solve right now? Fire.
Well, first, there's this channel that has never gotten to interview me named Brighter with Herbert. I would get him.
The channel's called Futurasa.
Yeah. Well, yes. I mean, that is it's not a fire, but that is a serious thing, though, is people like Rob Maurer were promised interviews. Dr. Know-It-All was promised an interview, and then he goes on unrelated things and gives them priority. And I think that's a real slap in the face to those people who've spent so much time boosting the company. That's not a fire, though. What is the current fire? I'm not. Well, obviously, FSD requires attention. I don't know that it's a fire. I think that's being addressed. I think robots is being addressed.
Optimus was a fire, if we have to admit it. It was a fire a couple months ago, 6 months ago. They had challenges with the hands. He went in and tried to help solve that, and it sounds like that we're headed in that direction. He's told you that there's like designing the hands was 10 times harder than anything else a part of the bot, but mass scaling it, producing it will be 100 times harder. So that is the fire that they had to deal with, and that's why there was a delay. Now we're waiting for Optimus version 3, and his initial, stated numbers of, we're going to have 2,000 to 5,000 robots by this year, and we're going to have 10, those numbers
I will tell
out
you
the window.
Yeah. Today, I'm not sure. If it was a year ago, the fire was build Mexico, start making the Cybercab ready NV91, the vehicle that was going to be the Cybercab, but human drivable, that was canceled in April of 24. That vehicle, if that factory would be online by now, if they'd started it when they intended to. That factory would be producing compact cars that could still get into the US, that could have qualified for the IRA for a time, that would have been $18,000 after discounts. So, and all of those would be Robotaxi ready, especially if you did 48 volt with the steer by wire so that the wheel would not be engaged while it's in FSD mode. So then that would have been a fantastic one because they could have begun selling millions of those. Mexico has free trade agreements with over 60 countries. They could have exported them all over the place. That was a fire a year ago. I'm very disappointed that the plan did not go in that direction. That would have been my whole focus, is getting that up and running. And I know it's like, well, yeah, but the future is autonomous, right? But the more vehicles on the road when that future arrives, the quicker it all happens. And if the ultimate goal is safety,
they were all waiting
saving
for
lives.
the presidential election, the tariffs, the interest rates.
If you're worried about tariffs,
he's putting the money on the data centers.
no, it doesn't matter though. The tariffs don't matter because Mexico could be the export hub to the rest of the world. And so far, the tariffs from Mexico are still in court because there's questions surrounding the legality of canceling a trade agreement unilaterally without congressional approval. But if you're worried about tariffs, why'd you elect the guy who's promised to put them in place?
He made a decision, and that's, we trust.
Right, but you're asking me about fires.
The fires. And the other fire was the battery, right? There was a battery shortage. There was the rate limiting step. That was the bottlenecks. And then they seem to have solved it. Remember, the first quarter I don't remember which earnings call they brought that up. And then it goes, right after this meeting, we're going to have a meeting to solve this. And then it's not been brought up again. So it sounds like that they found a way. Maybe it's the Megapack 3s. Maybe it's right? More deals signed.
I'm not sure where they're going to get all the cells for the Mega Block because there's a lot. I mean, just in the US, we're talking, 80, 90 gigawatt hours a year of cells needed to fill those two factories. It's going to be a lot. And yeah, I'm not sure. I don't agree with our outrageous tariffs that were put in place 2-3 years ago now on Chinese-made batteries and solar panels. I think both of those, and I get it. Well, we want to protect domestic industry. Yes, but we don't have domestic industry to protect. Give us a few years to get it online first. But policymakers are not always the best informed on some of the policies that they create, and it shows. So I don't know.
Yeah.
My question is, where's Nick?
Yeah, he's supposed to come. So, I think you're right. I mean, we're struggling to come up with a fire that's happening right now. I don't know.
Well,
we're not being blind, are we?
Yeah. What about 4680? Doug asks. I don't know how to solve that. Battery manufacturing is incredibly complicated. They are making a lousy battery is easy. Making a nearly perfect battery is very, very difficult. And when Sandy Monroe from Monroe and Associates did the teardown of the Model Y, I think it was, the 3 or the Y, one of the things he did was test the cell voltage. And what he found was all of them were within 0.1% of each other. It was incredible quality control, and that's what's needed to have a battery pack that lasts 300,000-400,000 miles. So
the Cybertruck is interesting. That's maybe. Do you agree with this?
I mean, I don't know how to solve it. I've seen some proposed solutions. Since the stainless steel is not structural per se, maybe replace it with the kind of material that is on the Cybercab. A much lighter weight polymer composite kind of deal that would drastically cut the weight, drastically cut the cost, and not require a paint shop. Would that drop enough money from the price tag? Maybe. Would it drop enough weight that you could change the tires, wheels, or suspension? Maybe. You'd be off to a good start at least. So that's maybe a way to address that. The Cybertruck was supposed to be affordable because of the exoskeleton. That did not materialize. We end up with extra weight as a result, extra cost. and diminished efficiency. So is it a fire? I just don't know. I just don't know. What do you think?
It's your perspective, right? So the Cybertruck was expected to be a lot more, and it's not selling as much for a variety of reasons, as you mentioned. Price is number one, right? They promised it was going to come out at 80,000, and that's not what it is. So, but the other reason is that, but the reason why they built the Cybertruck wasn't to make it a massive million, car seller. Would have been nice. They did it to test new technologies. When you have a brand new technology, you want to do it in a small volume product first before you roll it out on the new more affordable model. Steer by wire, 48 volts. They tested it here. So in many ways, the Cybertruck is a massive success because all those new technologies they put in there, it's going to now show up in all of our cars. They put that table down and they showed you all the things that they're going to show up in new vehicles. So for that reason,
I hope
that's why I did that.
Mm-hmm. But the line is designed for 250,000, and you and I believe it could do far more.
They have to lower the price, and so when they bring the price down, then that's when you get the big sales. So all the people, the million people who signed up, they did it because of the price. Now you're trying to sell them $100,000 vehicle, $120,000 vehicle, Cyber Beast. Yeah, there's going to be a small number of hours. Yeah.
We know people who reserved dozens of them.
Dozens and dozens.
At 40,000 because they were going to be robotaxis. And that is, to me,
that's how you solve the problem.
Stack of missed targets.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, it's no longer the priority because what has happened since then, since last year? Robotaxi. Robotaxi is real. So do you continue to try to, sure you can and focus more on, the Cybertruck and solve that problem, but it's not a fire that's going to do anything to the company. What matters now is his brain cells should be on Robotaxi, should be on bots and cybercabs.
I know people who would argue that the fire would be Roadster. It's not going to be a high volume vehicle. It's going to be it's going to be a halo car for a company that is already mostly halo cars. Let's be honest. I don't know if that's the best priority. It's certainly not going to move the needle. I would like to see all of the vehicles get to 48 volt, steer by wire, variable steering. Once you've had, folks, if you have not had a chance to test drive, do an overnight test drive of a Cybertruck, you gotta, because that steering system alone is going to change your perspective on what a car should be. And for such a big vehicle, it drives like a midsize. It is it is the easiest truck I've ever driven. It is probably the easiest car I've ever driven, despite its imposing size.
Yeah. The Roadster, yes, it's going to be an incredible car, but it's a tiny little market. But, I like what Lars Morvey said when he was interviewed at the Takeover, recent one, just a month ago. He said, this is our last hooray. This is our last car. He said, this is the last car we're going to be making to sell to customers. And as we do that, because now every car we're going to make, and every car we're going to make from now on will be robo vehicles, right? Robo vans, cybercabs, all those kind of things. So he goes, we, feels like this is a swan song for this, and so we want to do it right. And so, it's going to fly a little bit. It's going to be really, really fast. It's going to be gorgeous, small market. It really doesn't have anything. What's more of a halo vehicle? A Roadster that flies, or cars that drive themselves?
Well, I know which one I show up to the showroom to look at, but I also know which vehicle you drive away with. You go to see the whatever the halo car is at the dealership, and then you go out with a Camry or a minivan or something more reasonable and practical.
They always have the Model X with the gull-wing doors, like front and center in every single sales center, and then yet nobody buys them. But
even in China, where they're barely for sale, they no longer import them. If you want to buy a Model X in China, I'm sure you could go into the showroom and ask if they'd sell you that one. But they are still the showpiece.
Yeah, because it's beautiful to see this thing go up, right?
It's neat.
Oh, man. So we did not find any fires today, which is good news, but there's so much opportunity. I just like where Elon is focused. I could not have asked for anything better than what he said. Optimus, Colossus, Tesla AI5, autopilot, vehicle production teams. 12 hours. When he commits, he commits. He's there. And what about that comment? Like, many bulls said before, it doesn't matter. He's always focused on the company. He's not distracted. He's got 6 other companies he's working on also. And look at the results. But then when he does something like this, where he truly is spending hours and hours and hours and hours with Tesla, we feel happy. Do you know what I mean? Like there's that little disconnect between bulls who are saying, we don't really, he's still producing, the company's still succeeding regardless.
Well, I mean, that's if it was up to me, I would prefer to have a CEO that's focused on one company instead of 6 companies. But if my choice is I get Elon or we have to remove Elon, then obviously, I'm going to stick with the guy who's built all of this in the first place. It'll be interesting to see the plan of succession. I've seen people float some names that are truly nonsensical. But
let me counter that a little bit, Brian, because let's go down his companies. He barely spends time. Honestly, he does. You don't.
It's SpaceX it's only SpaceX and Tesla.
Yeah. So if he doesn't barely spend time with Boring or Neuralink, right? You rarely hear him spending so much time there.
What about XAI?
XAI are critical for Tesla. And so the work he does with Colossus, which is the largest supercomputer in the world, directly helps Tesla build their Cortex supercomputers. That they're both being built up at the same time. So when you hear him walking the line of Colossus 2, all of that is going to be replicated, supported in Tesla. And of course, we get to take advantage of the brain of Grok that's going to support the bot and the vehicles. So every work there, if that becomes ASI, superintelligence,
sure,
that superintelligence is going to support the how do you make the Cybercab spit out 20% more cars than usual? Use the superintelligence to tell you what to do with your entire factory. It's going to create new businesses and so forth. So every moment he spends with XAI is still very valuable for Tesla.
But I meant on posting on X all day. That's he spends a whole lot of time.
Well,
doing that.
I don't think it's all day. He's only when he's in the in the toilet.
Then he needs to get his bowels checked because he's in the bathroom all day.
Yeah. He it doesn't sleep at night, right? He's like very late. So it's an addiction. But yeah, again, hundreds of millions of he can it's marketing, right? So to what extent? Now it backfires. There's people that hate him because of what he says on X, but in net, it's probably a positive thing.
Mm-hmm. But there are people who say, I would rather buy a Honda built by General Motors than buy another car from that guy. And I would argue that's not great for anybody, except maybe General Motors.
Yeah.
But
do you still agree with the concept? Remember a long time ago, we said that you can have half the population, let's say back then, remember, it was the Republicans who hated Tesla, Democrats, and then now it flipped, that it didn't matter because Tesla would still sell every car that they made anyways, because they're not yet at that point where they're making, the volume that you would be impacted by.
Oh, sure you are.
The market is so big. We've got
surplus capacity in Austin and Berlin. If there was more demand, there would be more sales. Absolutely. And I don't know what the percentage is, but I will tell you that 80-90% of buyers are the people in the middle who don't care. I just want the best car. It's the 10% on either end who are, and it might be more than 10% on the Republican side who just say, I'll never buy an EV. There was a guy at the airport we were chatting and he said, oh, what do you do? I go, I cover electric cars. He goes, well, that's boring. I'm thinking, my friend, you have no idea how wrong you are.
Yeah, we are at the cusp. Does it matter? It doesn't. Because what matters is autonomy. And so Elon's probably thinking in his head, okay, so I've just pissed off 50% of people, and but does it matter? Because once my cars drive themselves, you're not going to buy any other car, no matter how much you hate the CEO.
Yeah, too soon to say.
People who hate EVs, Doesn't matter. It's not about EV versus ICE anymore. It's whether or not the car drives itself or it doesn't. That's the key thing. Could you sleep in the car? Could you do your makeup? Could you eat food? Could you watch a movie and you don't have to pay insurance and you're not going to get into accidents? A lot less chance of you dying. And the car drives itself.
Think about what your insurance will be. Your insurance will be someone crashed into me or my car was crashed into when it was parked. That's a much cheaper policy than your own liability.
Or Tesla will cover it. It's just going to be part of Tesla's cost of business.
I mean, if it's parked, I don't think they would cover it. And uninsured motorist does cost more.
Right. But if Tesla says it's unsupervised, you can go ahead and sleep in the car while you go to work. And if the car gets into accident, Tesla's insurance will cover it just like they do with Robotaxi. Right?
Yeah. I wonder, it'll be interesting to see how the logistics of that plays out because there is a cost to it. I just don't know how. It'll be interesting. People smarter than me are working on it hard all day. So guys, in about 5-6 minutes here, I'm going to be doing an after show where I answer your questions. If you're watching this on my channel or on Herbert's channel, it should automatically redirect. And unfortunately, Herbert, that means I'm going to hang you out to dry. You got to stay on board, dude. I have to stay on board?
Yeah. Just jump off when you're time.
Well, that puts me at 90 minutes straight on air. At least give me, why don't we go to 58? So the last 2 minutes you can solo and you can handle 2 minutes. You're really good at that.
Yeah. So let's talk about Elon's purchase of $1 billion of stock. Do you think that this was primarily because of the voting shares, or do you think that he is confident that we're about to grow and it's just going to go up? That $1 billion purchase made the stock go up already to the point that I saw one number that I don't know which date it was. He already made $12.5 billion because of his stock value went up.
Except he didn't, because if he tried to dump $1 billion, it would disappear. If you tried to dump so it's confidence. It's not the voting shares. $1 billion gets you what, 0.1% of the vote.
Yeah, that's right.
Do you really think the vote's going to come down to 0.1%? If you do, by all means, buy that.
But the timing was he did it on Friday, which was the last possible day that you could buy before the date of record was Monday. So if you didn't buy it by Friday, that was the weird thing, right? Mm-hmm. So, but you're right about it's like a tiny little bit. It's not like it's going to make the difference, but he still did it.
Yeah, I think it is not only his confidence, but it is a show of confidence, and the market reacted accordingly. Mary Barra, all the other CEOs, we talked about this, sell their shares. They sell them instantly, get rid of them. Very rare to see a CEO buy shares in their own company on the open market.
Yeah.
So give me 2 minutes. I will be on the after show, and I will see you there.
Okay. Thank you, Brian. Yeah, I'm looking right now for this deck that I've got that's going to explain a little bit about what's happening with the purchases of shares. It's crazy. It's funny that all these Elon buys shares, but guess who is selling shares? Uber and Uber CEO, and also Mary Barra, CEO of GM. So let's take a quick look at that. I'm going to share this with you. Yeah, this is GM's CEO, Mary Barra. Oops, there you go. Sold 40% of her holdings in General Motors. So while Elon bought $1 billion, 40%, that's it's not a lot. I mean, $21 million is what she made, but still the percentage of shares. She did this on August 28th. So that was just a couple weeks ago, right? Sold 40% of her stock holdings. She's selling shares. Uber CEO sold 28.6 million shares in stock, but that 28 million in shares is actually pretty significant for him because he sold 300,000 shares, and it looks like that he has 1.1 million shares following that transaction. So he sold 300,000 and now it's 1 million shares. That's like 30%, right? Or whatever it is, 20 something percent. Significant amount. Now, it is part of a prearranged trading plan. So we've got to keep that in mind. This is not because, whatever, but still, these guys are selling their shares while Elon is buying shares. That is something that I think is important to keep in mind, that is a big difference between these guys in general. Here he is talking about that he still believes that the Tesla's market cap is going to hit 25 to 30 trillion. This was a video done a long time ago. This isn't something that is new. Let me play that video. But I think most of us, as I talk to people, they are not thinking that Elon's going to shoot for the 8.5 trillion. No. He thinks that by the time that we get to the 400 billion, he's going to get to 8.5 trillion.
I think start with autonomous cars, and especially with Optimus, it does go to sort of crazy levels. I'd always recommend looking at Cathie Wood and ARK Invest's analysis. They've been right in the past, and I think they're right this time. And again, with a lot of difficult execution, I think people out there said, well, Tesla's valuation could be 25 trillion. And I think that's probably correct if we execute well on autonomous transport and Optimus. It actually does get to a 20 to 30 trillion dollar valuation. So that's 20 to 30 times what it is today.
Everyone.
20 to 30 times what it is today, but that's 1 trillion. That's what he just said at the X takeover, which was just, a month or two ago. And of course, this plan comes in, the proxy plan comes in, and they're saying 8.5 trillion. There's a reason they just said that is not the actual number that he's shooting for. And I think that's the difference. He put in $1 billion. Everyone else is selling. That's just a little bit, we'll find out if that's true or not. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate you watching us. Stay on, and you'll be redirected to Brian's channel. Thanks.